It's okay, it's okay.
Okay,
Just
so
mix lah.
Mix.
so today we'll be talking mostly about like the game design, specifically the game design mechanic for the combat, for
See.
the combat in the game in Kriegsfront Tactics. So we'll start with like let's talk about what we love from the old front mission, and then what makes front mission so endearing to us, or at least for the people who played it, and then what do we want to keep, um, and then what we don't like about it and what we want to change, and then the 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 next question would be about what can we improve from front mission, looking at like the modern turn-based tactics games. So how can we basically retain the soul of the old front mission but also bring it to the modern age with all the improvements and the I guess like the design, the modern design, and basically bringing front mission to the modern age. So let's start with, who wants to start first?
You start first.
uh, okay, yeah, I'll start first.
Is it
So
wait? Before we start though, I have a question. Like,
yeah,
does it have to be like specifically from Front Mission, or
it
can we get like, I don't know, bits and pieces from other tactics
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
strategy
of course,
games?
of course.
Okay.
So basically, like, yeah, I guess like the main, what do you call it? The main focus would be like front mission, because that is like the direct inspiration. But we can
Hmm.
also like refer other games that maybe like it was like inspiring, or like well, we got this cool
Okay.
mechanic in whatever other games, and then you think that that could be beneficial to the game. So that, yeah, you can mention stuff like that.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So I guess for me, like what what I really love about Front Mission is like, first, it's like the first mecha strategy game that I played, right? And then in that game, basically, what blows my mind is that, oh, each mech have different body parts, right? And then you can shoot the body parts, and then you can destroy it, and then you can destroy the arm to kind of like disarm the enemy, or like the mech, so they cannot no longer they can no longer attack. So that was very cool. Um, Maybe
Okay,
it could be
maybe
improved. Yeah,
me.
yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Before that, I think we need to go back to my childhood first. So, uh, I'm the kid in my town, like the one who love robot. Basically, the boys, everyone like car, fighting like that. But I'm the only one who like robot. Okay. So, when my dad buy me a Lego, instead of creating an animal, I create mecha, I create robot. Okay. So, so first, like when I find from mission for the first time, that's the biggest hook for me. Like, whoa, I can create robot, I can swap the part. Okay, like that feeling. Uh, Look at the digital, like very endless. So since my Lego is very limited, right? So if I can play in something digital, is wow, it's very awesome. And for me, mecha is very cool, And back then, story doesn't really matter for me, since English is not my first language. Of course, I don't understand what they say at all. And just, yeah, okay, next. Okay, I got new part. Yeah, that's the reward for me. Like that the feeling of getting new part, create new mecha, plus assembling new teams, give them color. That's the experience I miss.
I think makeup parts is one of the big thing from me. You can destroy the leg or the arm or the body, and if you destroy the body, the everything crumbles and then they die. That's one of the. I think it's pretty satisfying if you can like destroy all the parts except the body. Feels really sadistic in a way, but it feels good. Feels good. I also want to add that uh what do you call that weapon again? The
What, pile
The
driver?
The pile driver.
pile diver. That's it. That's it. Yeah, pile diver. We really have to add that in game. Man. It's so good, so cool.
Yeah.
I actually agree. Well, I agree with the mecha part, but I kind of relate to Mada more because I also love Lego, and it's more about the customizing rather than
Yeah,
the destruction. Like, okay, you can destroy it, that's cool, but I think it's more appealing to me that you can like mix and match.
yeah,
Like, oh, with this arm and this body, yeah, that appeals to me more
yeah.
rather
I
than
really
you.
like creating mecha. Like the left arm is very thin and
Yeah,
the
it's
right
like
arm is big.
yeah, yeah.
it's,
Rather
it's
than
funny.
you destruction oriented people. No.
Yeah, yeah. We are more creating people,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I think that can work both ways, right? You can destroy the parts and then
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you can salvage the parts and then make it, combine, customize your mech. Uh,
Yeah, it's also kind of a new feature in JRPG. I think in other JRPG, it's like your party consists of 4 characters, and that's it. Each character have their own HP. But in Front Mission, it's like you only have like maybe 4 or 5 characters, but each characters have their own like separate body parts HP, and that like increase your uh, uniqueness. I think like like more stats for playing, like more stats for balancing purpose and things like that.
let's compare that with the modern games, right? So if we look at, I guess like the gold standard today is XCOM 2 or like XCOM Remake, right? So that uh, the like the XCOM remakes now focus more on fast-paced combat. You don't have to count your APs. You just have like two actions, either move and shoot. Move or shoot, or like do other skill-based abilities. And then they focus more on like positioning and like how do you flank your enemies and all that. So that adds like a tactical depth. And yeah, I think like in one way, XCOM is very. I would say it's very fresh, right? It brings a very fresh perspective to tactical games, but I kind of feel this like this mechanic, like this XCOM feel, is now being replicated in so many other tactical games. It kind of makes me feel like, it's just another XCOM clone if you're following that kind of like formula. And and we I don't want to make like Front Mission becomes like, too XCOM me in a way. So I want to I want to keep something that's, like players can acknowledge that, oh yeah, this feels very very Front Mission. um and but in a way that it's also more fast paced, more accessible to new players, and more, it has more depth in tactical elements. So do you guys have any suggestions or anything to add, for that?
Quality of life is the key here.
Hmm.
One of the best part about XCOM, well, I just played it maybe for 10 or 20 hours in the past like 5 days. So one of the best part is they really shows everything to you but still respecting your skill as a player. So they don't just handhold you everything. They want you to like explore, but they give you a lot of information, especially on the UI and the user experience. So you know the gist of what the game is supposed to be, but they still give you the freedom to experience it yourself. That's why I like. The tutorial is very, very, very strong. They give you everything that you need to know about the game, and the progression is quite fluid. So you know oh, this particular people will get this particular skill, and the skill will they have like two different pathway that you can get, and because of that you know how, and they you know how, what kind of build you want to make in this particular character, and that is quite quite good. And and the tactic system, the skill floor that required you to play is also quite low, for lack of a better word, because it only has like, it maybe it borrows the Japanese formula when you have your walk and attack, but they make it a little bit more unique by giving you the freedom of doing whatever you can with the resources that you have. So you can just attack, or you can move and attack, and that's really simple to understand, I guess.
They they think that also contribute to like the fast pacedness of the XCOM is actually the fluid animation and also the simplicity of the 2AP system. Although in a mecha based game, I think that kind of make the mecha scale a bit smaller. Like I don't know. I like in front mission that you have something like multiple AP and counter attack system and all of those like heavy hitting kind of attacks, and that kind of solved the heaviness of the mecha and the large scope of the battle, which is in XCOM they rather focus on the stealth mission and the swiftness of the mission. I think that's kind of the difference between front mission and XCOM combat.
Yeah. So I guess like
Yeah.
you mentioned about like the counter attack system, which is very interesting. So I think like one of the reason, or like one of the things that screams front mission to me is that every time you get attacked or you attack the enemy, it will automatically counter, like like the counter attack is by default, right? So and you're only, so you can do that as many times as you have remaining AP, right? So I guess like the two AP system in XCOM doesn't really allow us to do that. So and uh yeah, so that's like one of the reason like why we don't, we don't want to use like, or we don't want to follow the two AP system in XCOM, right? So we want the player to feel that, okay, you can counter attack, and it feels like very, what do you call it, like very intuitive, and yet it also balanced in a way, so it doesn't, you cannot exploit it. There's kind of like a limit on how many times you use it based on the AP that you use. um, so yeah, I think like having a more multiple AP uh, definitely works better for front mission, at least like front mission style games. But what I don't like about like the old front mission is that the AP number is just so high, right? Like you have like 27 AP or whatever, so it's kind of like it doesn't really mean anything anymore. Like you just like, oh yeah, I just move and then I just counter attack until like I cannot anymore. But you kind of like, you don't really calculate that, like you don't really understand what does the AP mean. um so I think like in Kriegsfront, I guess like I want to make it feel more tactical. Like you really have to make a decision of like how do you, like where do you move and what do you do, because like your AP is more, I don't know how to say it, like more impactful, more like important. I don't know. I don't know what to say,
Matters.
but yeah, like you really have to like make a really like a very concise like decision, and you're aware of the consequences of what what happens after, if you use this mini AP and stuff like that. So so that's what I think like we can kind of like take from both worlds, I guess, right? From what front mission, and then from the modern games. Uh, So yeah, I guess that's like one of the one of the key elements to make it feel like very front mission ish, right? To have like a counter attack, but with multiple AP, but the AP is not too big. You know about like the counter attack system, right? How do we balance that? Like, how do we make that the player, uh, because like for example, if you're leaving like okay, so I have like for example I have 8 AP, right? And then I wanna basically the player wants to use all that AP, right? They don't want to leave like oh I leave like 4 AP for the counter attack. It doesn't. I don't think it feels like not rewarding, but I don't think people will understand that that. So how what would you think like would be better? Like how do we communicate the player that okay you have this AP limitation, but how can we make counter attack is also good, but without making people confused like okay how many AP do I need to for counter attack and all that. So
Actually, I learned about counter attack information is through the hard way. Like I I use all my AP, like, but information every time you get shot, there's always problem that show to you that you can counter, but
mm,
it's you have no AP, but
IP,
you,
yeah.
yeah. So uh, by that prompt in the next turn, I learned, okay, I can conserve my AP that I can use it for the next counter attack, something like that.
yeah.
So yeah, but that's a bit annoying, like every time I got shot, I get an option, but the option I cannot choose any of it since I don't have any AP.
But what do you think like the current the current AP system that we use right now? So like so you have like 8 AP in your active turn, and then
It
you can use
reloads
you can use all that
basically.
AP, and then at the end of your turn you'll get some AP refunded or like replenished to be used in your non-active
Mm.
phase, right? When you're like counter attacking, and then we can basically have like a if the character levels up, and then they can have like a skill that now you can replenish more AP for the counter attack. So with that with that kind of like design, AP the AP mechanic design, do you think that is that a better does that a better experience or like and what do you think?
Honestly, I like that a lot. The challenge is how do we explain it to the player
Mm-hmm.
so they can understand. This is the we call it reaction point, right?
Mm.
Reaction point to for when you can use in the enemy's turn, so you can counter or overwatch or doing anything else that can be used during that killer turn.
You know
I I think the easiest solution is to have a
Tutorial.
dedicated tutorial. Yeah.
but is it like will do you think like is it easy enough for them to understand like okay you have
No,
active
no,
AP and
just have a tutorial where you move, but you move to let's say it's a of course a normal tutorial. Of course, the usually it's gonna be okay. The first tutorial gonna be a move, second tutorial gonna be attack, and then you end your turn, and then explains you that you got your AP back, and then the enemy suddenly appears and
yeah
attack you.
yeah
So I think that
that's enough, right?
let the player experience it. Like Mada said, actually he learned about counter the hard way
Mm.
by actually experiencing it himself, right?
Yeah
So if we not handhold them, but let them experience it by themselves.
Yeah,
mm.
yeah,
If we can make it even like more natural without the hand holding, that will be better. Like
Yeah
if we can make it like Mega Man X, the Sucolitis kind of game design, that will be awesome.
yeah
So yeah, where the game design is, I mean the tutorial is tied to the game design and how the player expected behavior would be.
yeah yeah
If that, yeah,
yeah, true. Yeah, and
really
from
good
the
video.
technical side, we don't need to code like press this button and then press the button. as a programmer, I don't know. I hate it so much. Like, if we can design it like can flow it more naturally, just like
Yeah.
Eric said, or like Super Mario first level design,
Yeah,
it
Super
would
Mario
be
too.
very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I think you learn faster because people just learn better from failure than they learn from success.
Success. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting.
They remember it easier if you
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
Actually, now that you mention it, the first battle in Final Fantasy Tactics, you only control Ramza, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the other characters are AI controlled. That and they never teach you
What to do?
press
Yeah.
select move to move, but you can see the other AI moving. You can see them attacking. So I
Yeah, that's
guess
actually interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
imitation
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
looking at examples is also a good way to
that's a good thing.
teach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Because
that
like
I just thought
yeah,
about that actually. Yeah.
yeah, that's very
We
interesting
can
because
have
like
a mentor like character, right?
No, there's no
no,
mentor.
yeah.
There's no dialogue. It's just the dialogue is just in story like you will die for this and all that stuff. There's no like
Oh
Ramza,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah,
move
yeah.
here. No, nothing like that at
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Actually, I think like one of the interesting part is because like in Final Fantasy Tactics, when the AI is moving, they actually still show the grid.
Show the
Yeah,
yes, the
the grid with the
grid
Ah,
and
pointer, right?
then you select yeah.
So that kind of like helps the player understand like, oh, okay, so I
Oh
can
yeah,
move
I can
this
move that. Actually,
pointer
yeah.
to
They
move.
show all those.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's actually like yeah, that's a very smart tutorial actually.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Final Fantasy Tactics, right? So one of the elements that they have that's I think it's very iconic is that the directional facing, right? In Final
Oh, the
Fantasy.
facing, yeah.
Yeah, because like in Final Fantasy Tactics, like when you end your turn, they ask you to like, okay, so where do you want to face? Because if you face a certain direction and then you get hit from the back, it's more critical or like it's basically it damage deals more damage or like you cannot evade or stuff like that. So I think yeah, so like I want to like implement that in Kriegsfront because like I think that kind of mechanic uh adds depth into this tactical element because now you have to think like okay which direction am I facing and you know if I get hit from the back or the sides you know that would that would be more impactful or like more dangerous. So you have to think about facing directions. Uh, yeah, I think that would be you know like adding more tactical you know depth in the game. So what do you guys think about that?
because in XCOM they don't have the directional facing, but they have like the cover system,
Yeah,
which is currently got copied by
yeah,
every other tactics game. So yeah, I think it's a great substitute for it. Like we go back to our roots, and in traditional tactics game, you just have the direction instead of cover system. I think that's quite interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I want to add about the XCOM and basically in the response to the counterattack thing. XCOM also suffers from alpha strike.
What's
Like
that? What's alpha?
basically, who attacks first usually win.
Ah,
That is true.
And either if you, so if you like activates a pod, but oh shit, you already use your action and all of your units already move, you're in like deep trouble. You'll probably like get shot, all your unit gotta get injured and everything. And the consequence of getting shot is also really big in XCOM, I guess, because of I
Yeah.
mean it's permadeath, getting injured.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's why I think that's also pushed XCOM to be more stealthy, to
mm,
be more. It's all about engaging when you only need to engage,
Yeah.
which I don't think that works in a mecha game. Like yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Because if I play as every time I encountering a pot, you know, if first encounter is wrong, I will just load the
Yeah,
same.
just
yeah, yeah,
the
That's why I used to call XCOM. It's not a tactical game. It's just a self load simulator for me.
yeah.
That's that's also flash. That's also why flashbang is very important in XCOM, because if you
Yeah,
screw up like
yeah,
that, oh shit! I accidentally activated pot.
yeah,
The only thing you can do is throw flashbang and pray they miss.
yeah, yeah,
Which yeah. So I guess the, how to say it, the brawling, the attack and being cornered,
yeah,
that's not applied as much in XCOM, I guess. Yeah,
yeah.
unless you're fighting against like the big mechs and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. Because I think in XCOM, just a tiny mistake is very punishing for me. Like, one misclick, like, if in formation, one click, yeah, just consume one AP, right? But if I misclick in XCOM, yeah, that's I
yeah,
cannot
that's
move anymore. Basically,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, like something like that.
And also I think, although XCOM, I think Chris mentioned about the fast pace, and Ivan mentioned about the quality of life. That's how the UI UX works. But if you misclick, it also skips a lot of stuff. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Like in front mission, because it's the outdated UI. If you mispress something, oh, you can still like go back. And but I guess it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of an irony that the newer updated system is prone to misclick more. So yeah, yeah. Basically, I remember that because one of my best sniper died permanently because I misclicked, which, yeah, which really sucked. But I, on the other hand, I remember that until now. Like that was like, I don't know, 6 7 years ago. But because of that one misclick, I still remember that.
It's a memorable
It's
experience.
a memorable experience. Although it's a bad experience, it's still memorable.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I guess that's what makes XCOM, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah,
XCOM actually really good at doing that. That
Mm.
creating that memorable
Emergent narrative.
experience, emergent, memorable narrative. Yeah.
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 99% miss.
Oh yeah. Talking about
Oh,
the hit
okay.
chances.
Speaking about that, yeah, I think Chris wanna say something
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
So I
Yeah.
really really hate like in XCOM when you have like 90% plus hit chance, and then you're standing like Rex next to the enemy like one tile, and then you miss. Oh my god, that pisses me off. And I think like, so I don't want to use like a hit chance, like a percentage calculation, right? Because to me it kind of feels like cheating, right? It doesn't really, like if you're standing like next to somebody, like one, like literally like next to each other, and you're aiming like this, like yeah, you're pointing the gun like right to the chest. Like how can you miss, right? Like it just doesn't make sense. Um, unless that guy is maybe John Wick or something, right?
Yeah.
But in a mecha situation, like mechs, you it would be very very weird if you're like,
With like targeting system and
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, like sensors, high tech sensors.
and then with high tech sensors and like targeting system, and then you're like 90% chance, and then you miss. It feels like so weird. So that's why like I think like for Kriegsfront, I think um, using a more like a projectile based system where you actually simulate each bullet that you shoot fits more with the front mission feel, I guess, like the mech feel. Because like in like a front mission, they when you shoot, you don't just shoot like one bullet, right? You're like bursting, or like you're like shooting a shotgun with multiple projectiles, and then it can hit different body parts. And like I guess in the old front missions, they just, I don't know, maybe they do like a kind of like a dice roll, I guess, because like when you hit, you can still say miss, right? But I think like if you just like use like a projectile system like in a first person FPS game, right? So if a bullet hits, it hits, right? So, and if it miss, it might hit something else somewhere. So I think that works better, I think. I don't know. I don't know what do you guys think?
Also, I think it's really important for the presentations. Like it's not us that miss, but it's the enemy that evade. I think that's conveying some more positive impacts for the player.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely like because if you miss, you feel like you are the failure. While if you shoot
Yeah,
and then the enemy evades, it feels like, oh, this enemy is a really, really good, tough son of a bitch or something like that. So it feels really different. It feels like, oh yeah, I'm facing a really good adversary. It feels like it kind of like elevates the stakes. While if you miss, then it feels like you kind of like, damn, my dude is dumb, right? Something like that. So I agree on that with you.
The tricky part about projectile system is if you are strong on the long range, you're going to be even stronger on the short range. So it's it's a very delicate balance. How do you make it to so that it's not completely useless on the long range, but it's not completely broken if you want to make it the short range.
Yeah.
It's it's quite challenging.
I still think, I don't know, adapting the, because in a way the bullet projectile system, it's kind of like basically an FPS, right?
Yeah.
Or a third person, or like the one of those um looter shooter kind of game, like a Borderlands, Fallout, all those stuff. So Borderlands, Fallout, what else? Or similar games, they basically use the FPS general design, I guess, for the shooting. So I don't know, probably because in FPS, sniper is really strong long range, but they can balance it so it's not OP short range. That's might be that, yeah, like I think I mentioned that, okay, one weakness that snipers have is their aim down sight is really slow. So if you meet an enemy like in front of you and you try to aim, they just gonna kill you before you can aim down the sight. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I think
mhm.
that's what Ivan mentioned too. Like in turn-based system, we can we it's harder for us to show this weapon is slower than
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
weapon
Hmm.
because this is turn-based.
Yeah,
All
because
happen
turn
in.
based. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, if
That's
we
true.
can find some sort of substitute system that replicates that feeling, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got it. What if if you are sniper or a long range weapon users, the enemy can counter you first before you shoot.
If they're within like
A
the
certain
weapons
range.
range. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's actually, yeah.
Yeah, that could be,
So it
yeah.
could be one
could be a solution.
solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
makes
yeah,
sense.
it
Makes sense.
takes you a while to aim. Or they can just fire hip fire and have like a huge hitbox, a huge yeah.
I think another solution could be also like, if you are standing closer, then maybe you have a higher chance of like evading that shot. Like, I guess you
Mhm.
have to check like per weapon. Like if the enemy is shooting with a sniper rifle, then there might be some, like some distances that the enemy might be able to evade easier. Uh, and like depending on the weapon, I guess, like if you're using like a shotgun, then maybe not, right? But if you're using a sniper, because it's like, it kind of simulates like, oh yeah, you're slower because you're aiming down sight, that therefore the enemy can evade uh before you shoot, right? And then maybe after that they can counter back, right? So it kind of like simulates that experience, that like a sniper is better long range and not short range. Maybe that could be another solution. What else do we have? Okay, so from the, I guess we've talked about the, like the modern turn-based tactics elements that we can maybe take inspirations and implement. um
We actually covered a lot in just an hour.
yeah,
don't
we
don't talk too don't talk too much. I mean, we gotta save it for the next podcast, right?
Yeah.
That is true.
In the next podcast, we don't have anything
You
to
know,
say.
We
Like,
the next, yeah,
okay.
we should cover other parts of the combat in the next
Yeah.
podcast, I think.
Yeah. Or maybe we can talk about exploration.
Yeah, maybe next time we can, for
Yeah.
Devlog
Yeah.
number 3, we can talk about
yeah,
exploration.
yeah.
So yeah, we focus this like combat for today. Yeah, and actually, I'm very excited with the kind of like the glitch, I guess, that and Eric found, like, yeah, when you shoot an enemy and then suddenly the somebody jumps and blocks
Blocks,
your shot.
yeah.
I think it's very cool because it creates like that emergent narrative, as if like, oh, I'm sacrificing myself for my friend, and then I'm taking all the bullets. That's really cool because like that creates kind of like that emotional emergent narrative, situation in the game. So I kind of wish like we can add maybe more.
Actual cover
Yeah,
mechanic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Something like, oh,
get
I'm being
down,
shot.
Mr. President.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get down.
I don't know, like how can we make more of that? Like, yeah, but it's just damn cool. It's really
I
cool.
think it should be they should have a dialogue. Like, I will cover you, and then there's a cover attack or cover defense or something like that, and pop up and as a skill. So
It's
it
even
make
better if the
yeah
protecting unit has a shield. So like,
Yeah,
get
yeah
down. So that
but
would be awesome.
I
Yeah.
guess like it's easy to say, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah.
like
That,
Mada, the
very
that
very
programmer,
hard.
programmer already.
will
Yeah.
will be like, oh, what the heck? Like, how do I make this, like,
Yeah,
and what,
just enjoy the bug, guys, and make it a feature. Don't
like
add more feature lah.
like how do how do I program this into the game, like for example, like that was like a very specific situation, right? Because like the character is moving to a specific tile, and then he was like standing next to the unit. So, but in a I guess like in a bigger sense, like how do you replicate that if like the unit is like so far away, or maybe I don't know, like it with that you have to like have like certain positions, or I don't know.
One thing, but it might lose the immersion. The oh, he's protecting. It might lose that feeling. Is to have it manually activated. So let's say if you have a shield, you have ability to cover someone next to you. So whenever that target is being attacked, you jump in front of them. But yeah, it loses that. Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
protected
like
him because
emergent. Yeah,
you manually
yeah, yeah.
do it.
Yeah, I guess we'll
yeah
we'll see. Like
Yeah,
we'll think about
but
it. Like
that's an
how.
idea. That's
Yeah.
an idea. Basically, an
Oh,
ability with only one range, kind of like
or
melee, but you
may,
select a friendly target. Yeah.
maybe like it's just a passive ability, and if you're standing next to your
Next
like
to it,
ally,
yeah,
it kind of like
probably.
it has like that chance of like triggering that passive ability, and maybe only for certain angles. I don't know, like it would be weird if like you get shot from this direction and then he runs around, like kind of weird, but I don't know, like I guess we'll
Ma
figure it out.
Mada's already.
Yeah,
RNG is a
yeah,
big part of emergent narrative, so I think we
yeah,
should
that's true.
yeah,
chaos
That's
RNG
true.
RNG.
is part of that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's, yeah, it should be more like a random, like kind of thing that happens.
By the way, guys, I kind of want to watch the
Okay.
other test play.
Okay. So I guess
Yeah,
I guess that's it
Okay.
Yeah,
for
let's
today.
let's let's save it for next
yeah,
week or
Yeah.
the
okay.
next time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much
Okay.
for the time. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
After
you.
this,
See
goodbye.
everyone.
ya.
Thank you for
Bye.
See
watching.
ya.